All right, welcome in. It's Rise Grind Morning Show, man. It is midweek already, Wednesday. Today's topics, we're going to be talking a little bit about the edge position. Akheem Mesidor had a great interview. Not sure when it was. Might have been before this last season. One of the members sent it to me. We're gonna watch it this morning and get a good taste at a player that could end up at number 17 for the Detroit Lions, Akheem Mesidor. All right, let's get rolling. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Today, like I said, we're going to review obviously the latest news, Lions rumors, all that good stuff. We'll talk about Bradley Chubb for a moment. You know, I don't really have a take either way right now. I mean, I guess I do. I'm not so sure on this one. It's not that it wouldn't be a good move. I'm a little hesitant. You know, we talk about fans that constantly bash Brad for bringing in injured players. And I don't know, maybe I'll just calling everybody out real quick. If it's an edge rusher, for some reason we ignore everything else that y'all have said when it's somebody that you think would work. But if it was Marcus Davenport with his injury history, well, that'll never work. But Bradley Chubb, coming off a major injury, had a decent year last year, that'll work. But are we not worried about the injury history at all? Because he's had more than just one. He's had more than just one injury during his career. So I don't know. I guess I don't even know where I'm going with this other than it just seems like it's two-faced to me that if it pumps your narrative, you roll with it. If it doesn't pump your narrative, you don't. So we'll talk about that. We'll bring in some information on Bradley Chubb and Akheem Mesidor. I received a video in my inbox to review, and I watched a majority of it last night. And I just got to say, like this guy checks all the boxes. He really does. He was an early option for me as far as somebody that I thought would fit in Detroit if the Lions were going to look for an edge this year, which again, the roster roulette tells me that this is the year to do it. This is the year to get, the next up and coming edge rusher in the draft early. However, with, all the other issues that we've spoken about, safety being a big concern, corner, is it a concern or is it not? Probably not. For most people, I still think it is. And linebacker, we know that we need something to happen there. And then, of course, your offensive line. I mean, the biggest offseason conversations, I think, revolve around those three or four positions. Safety, edge, and linebacker and offensive line probably being the most critical. I mean, that's half the damn team. But where do you start? And I think that the answer is, or the question that I have really for Brad Holmes is, man, I know you talk about BPA, but did you really royally screw up in not taking an opportunity or figuring out a way to get up and get a safety last year? And I guess the quick answer to that would be, well, we thought we were fine. You had a healthy Brian Branch, you had what you thought was a healthy Kirby Joseph. So I guess that answers that question. He didn't screw up. He didn't miss. He was going into the season coming off a crazy good season for both those guys. And I mean, just the worst of the worst happened. It's kind of tough when hindsight 2020 is just so easy to pick apart somebody's job. It's so easy. The hard part to all of this is not being a reactionary content creator or media personality or even a fan. Like, everyone can do reactions. That's not hard. It's pretty easy to do. I mean, that's like lowest on the totem pole, right? Being a reactionary individual, pretty soft. But to get out in front of it and to predict what's going to happen or kind of see through the trees, if you will, as to what is going to happen with this team or what should happen and maybe what Brad is thinking, that's a totally different ballgame. I heard it from Daniel Jeremiah just the other day where he said, a lot of people get these things wrong because it's difficult. It is difficult. You're working with 32 different minds out there and you have no clue what they're thinking. And you have no idea that when one move happens, what's going to happen with the next move with the next team. It's damn near impossible to get anything right. It's damn near impossible to get anything right. So I take pride into the work that we do, and I hope that this year we can have another good season. But I just got to tell you, I've been honest about it the whole year. This might be one of the hardest drafts to figure out, and it's quite simply boiling down to quarterbacks. Because there's not a lot of quarterbacks and there's a lot more defensive players and a lot more receivers this year. And defensive players, I mean edge. That really throws a wrench into all of this. It's not typical. There's a lot of running backs too. It really does throw a big wrench into this. So as we get closer to the draft, obviously I'll hone in on what the thought process is for me. I still have a lot of work to do. Last night we had a little bit of a taste of a mock. It was not my best work. Obviously, I'm still not feeling the greatest, but at least we had a conversation about it. We'll get through the top 50 here at some point. I can't spend forever on it. I got to write is what I got to do. I have to write and get this stuff out there so that I can then speak about it later, which it's coming. I have some things dropping today. Finally, I've just been working on this magazine stuff, and it's taking way too much of my time. Probably a bad idea to do it this year, honestly. But let's get into it, man. Let's start with a redraft or the grading, if you will, for the Detroit Lions. There was some analysis that came out 4 or 5 days ago, 7 days ago, a week ago. Gennaro Felici, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, is one of the editors over at NFL.com, and he did a little bit, I guess, of a rewind look at last season's draft and how that worked out for each team. Let me get this up here. Might as well throw it on the screen. Eric is still recovering from his surgeries yesterday, or his oral work. So wish him well, man. He's obviously not feeling the greatest. One thing I don't want to deal with is teeth, and I know it's coming. I've been pretty blessed with teeth. Pretty blessed. No issues. No issues at 45 years old is an incredible feat. It's like I need to change the date. We're a couple days behind. How do we miss that? Every day, it seems like we miss it. It's still Monday. All right, it's now Wednesday. All right, here we go. Let me throw this up on the screen so we can kind of just walk through it together. I'm not going to spend all day on all of the other teams. The only team that I really care about is the Lions. But we'll take a look at the NFC North here. Chicago Bears. Again, this is Gennaro Felici. Gave the Bears an A. I think they did a good job in this last draft. Honestly, this might be Ryan Pohl's best draft. Luther Burden turned out to be, he's going to be an animal. He's going to be a handful in the NFC North. Colston Loveland turned out to be a really good tight end, at least through his rookie year. We'll see where those things go, as their career arc kind of bends, if you will, whether it's going to bend down or bend up. I think both those players right now are on the up. Ozzie Trapillo, I can't even say that I have a clue as to how he really did. Shamar Turner, I don't think he had a great year, but he didn't have a bad year. I guess that's a good thing. The craziest pick out of all of this is the 7th round Kyle Monangai. Now, was his rookie season just a fugazi? You know what I mean? Was it not really real? Did he just kind of have a great season or is he going to be able to follow that up in his sophomore season? Well, we'll find out this year. I think he's a good running back. But I also feel, on this offense, if he had to be the only player to to kind of depend on. If you suffer a couple of injuries, I don't think it works that well for him. I think that the Bears are very dynamic this year. They had a lot of weapons that they were able to utilize. And anytime you have a new coach, new scheme, kind of new everything, it does take the NFL world by storm. And it takes a season or two before the rest of the league kind of catches up to who you are, what you're all about, finally have some tape on you. And that's when they can start dialing up some schemes. And I have a feeling that's going to happen to the Bears this year. I do. I think that they're going to take a major step back. I know I'm probably crazy for saying that. A lot of people may not agree with me, but I feel it. I see it coming. And the reason why I see it coming is because watching Ben totally deteriorate as he got in, to his third season as the offensive coordinator, as good as what many thought 2024 was, I think you really need to look a little bit deeper. There were some things that just don't make any sense. And even walk it all the way back to 2023, there's just some things that don't make sense. So we'll see. What's this breaking news here? What's this? Oh, Olympics. Anybody watching the Olympics right now? I've watched a little bit. I got all into the what's that game that like the shuffleboard, where they throw those big pucks on the ice? I forget what that game's called. I don't know why I like that game. But I love watching it. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I like playing shuffleboard, though, too. All right, let's go to the Browns. They got an A. Mason Graham, Carson Schweschinger. Just amazing picks. Quinshon Judkins, he's going to be a handful. Harold Fannin, that dude's going to be a monster. He's going to be a big-time problem and quickly. You can't get mad at their quarterback choices. I think that Dylan Gabriel got thrown to the Wolves, and obviously the Browns don't have an offensive line worth spit. And Shedeur Sanders, well, he never even got a chance at all. They didn't give him any sort of an opportunity. The fact that he did as good as he did, I can't wait to see how he does this year. To be honest, I think he's gonna have a great bounce back year. Seahawks, man, look, this is the guy. This is the guy that I was talking about. Did Brad screw up? Nick Amanawari was my number one choice for safety above all else for the Lions this last season. And like I said, I wanted to see him utilized in that small linebacker. If you go back to last year's draft work and you listen to some of the things that I said about Nick Amanawari, they used him exactly like I felt that they would. And putting him in that small linebacker role, up in the box, that dude can play. He is going to be lights out, one of the best safeties. Like he just said, I don't know, maybe in the last week or so, that he's just scratching the surface of what his real potential is going to be in the NFL. He was a rookie this last year, and he played that good. Yeah, he's surrounded by some really good football players, but my God, what a special athlete. Gray Zabel had an okay year. I know they won a Super Bowl, but he didn't play to his potential. Gray Zabel he's got such a high ceiling left in the NFL. And then Jalen Milroe, the quarterback that I thought deserved to end up in that first round for a team that wanted to take a 5-year look at him. They have Sam Darnold now for a while, but watch Jalen Milroe and how he really takes his time now to progress. I think he's going to turn out to be, like your next. I hate throwing this name out there, but like the Brett Favres, the Jordan Loves, the Aaron Rodgers, the guys that get to sit a little bit before they have an opportunity to really play. That is the best thing that could have happened to Jalen Milroe. He has a special cannon for an arm, and I think that he's a really good processor. He needed some more time. His footwork was a little bit off. His mechanics are a little bit off. Those things needed some work, and that's why he fell, I believe, down to round 3. But you watch him over the next couple of seasons, see how he does this year in preseason. He's going to take a big step forward. And if there's some teams out there that are smart, you're going to try to pry that kid away in a trade. If the Seahawks are all in like they are with Sam Darnold right now, maybe they'd be willing to give up Jalen Milroe. But if they feel about that kid the way that I do, they won't. Elijah Aurora, he's going to be special. They really did a great job in Seattle in this draft. Absolutely deserved an A- here. New Orleans Saints, Tyler Shuck's got a long way to go. A long way to go. Kelvin Banks Jr., I don't think that he really proved to the world that he was that he really deserved to be the number 9 pick. Let me take a look at something here. And I know it's the Saints, and you know they're trying to dig out. So you really can't put a lot of weight into these guys' rookie years. I mean, that would be a big mistake. I mean, he put up 1,066 snaps, taking a little deeper look. I mean, his overall grades are pretty good for a rookie. Didn't have a great schedule to go up against, but finished as a 73.3 by PFF standards. And honestly, that's top 32 grade. That's not bad. But I don't know that he proved to be the number 9. Be interesting to see a regrade and where we would put these guys. I haven't done a regrade yet. Maybe we'll do that. I try not to, but maybe we'll do it. Giants, look, Abdul Carter started out slow, and then he started to slowly kind of turn it on. Jackson Dart is exactly who I thought he would be. That guy's electric. He's going to be an amazing quarterback as long as he stops hitting guys head on and quits getting all these damn concussions. He's going to be fine. But if he continues playing the way that he did last year, he's going to be out of the league in 4 years. That's not the way you want to end your career. I think that Jackson Dart could be special. He just needs to play smarter. Darius Alexander, that was a name that a lot of Lions fans wanted. And I think it's funny that, you know, if you go back and try to hold these people accountable, that say, you know, the Lions needed X, Y, and Z, you know, I said from the very get that Darius Alexander was not the guy. Look at these grades. Just take. Oh, you probably can't see it all, huh? Yeah, and I can't swipe left a little bit. All right, let me pull that back out. If you look at his grades, I'll just read them to you. 42.9 overall, 54.9 in the pass rush, 30.3 in run defense grade. Just pathetic. 400 snaps on the season, and this guy was, round 3, number 65, and a lot of people thought he was a first-round grade going to the Lions, and he was going to be better than Tyleik Williams, and everyone thought I was crazy to bring in Tyleik Williams. That was my number 1 pick from day one. Even at the combine was my number 1 pick, and as the board fell the way that it fell, I called Tyleik Williams live during the draft coverage when we were in Green Bay doing our draft coverage from Radio Row. And there's a reason why. You watched it happen. Tyleik Williams is going to be special. He really is. And special must be my word of the day. But he really is going to be a phenomenal athlete. But Darius Alexander was terrible. Cam Scatabo, same thing for him, man. He's got to play smarter. He has to play smarter, and he's going to have a great career. Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward didn't work out. I was a little slow on Cam Ward last year. I wasn't as impressed as other people were with Cam Ward. I put him at the number 1 position simply because we knew that's where he was going to go. But if you remember last season, and you can go back and check the receipts on last year's draft work, Cam Ward was not as exciting to me as some of the other quarterbacks. He might just be a slow progressor. It might take him a couple of seasons. It doesn't mean, a bad rookie year means he's going to have a bad career. A lot of rookie quarterbacks have a bad rookie year. It just kind of comes with the territory. It's that sophomore season that you're now looking for this guy to take the next step. Oluwafemi Oladejo was another name that a lot of Lions fans wanted, and again thought that he deserved to be in the first round. And I couldn't, for the life of me, I couldn't see how. Now, if you take a look at his season, again, just based on PFF grades, again, 48.2 overall, 52.4 in the pass rush, 53.4 in the run defense. So I'm going to put the onus back on you, the Lions fan, whoever you are, that thought that Oluwafemi Oladejo was the guy. Again, Brad didn't miss. he didn't take this guy, and there's a reason why. Now, he had a bad rookie year. Does that mean that the rest of his career is going to be that way? Absolutely not. But he only played in 6 games. He had 2 starts, and in the games that he did play, he did not play well. No sacks, had 7 tackles, again, 241 snaps. Just not a good rookie year at all. So again, Isaac Tesla versus Oluwafemi Oladejo. Who had the better year? Right? Tesla was taken in the 3rd round with multiple picks traded. Oluwafemi was taken in the 2nd round. Tate Ratledge had a better career, that's for sure. And so did Tyleik Williams. Or better rookie year, I should say. Alec Iomanor. His season was okay. Let's take a look at his stats real quick. This was a receiver that I really liked. I thought that he was going to be an opportunity for the Lions a little bit later, whether it was the Isaac Tesla pick or, Iomanor. I really liked his size and his ability, 6'2", 210. We needed some taller receivers. We needed a perimeter guy, someone that could body out. And how did he do last year? 533 snaps played, 86 targets, 41 receptions. So not a good catch ratio. 4 touchdowns, 4 drops, 12.6 yards per catch. And he's averaging 3 yards after the catch. That's not terrible. Passer rating when targeted was not great, 67.7. That needs to be up into the hundreds as to be an elite receiver, but he didn't have a bad year. It just wasn't great. And quite honestly, I'm going to put a lot of that blame on Cam Ward. He was just not a good quarterback last year. The Jets with Armand Membu, Mason Taylor, Azariah Thomas. Look, they could have done a lot more, but they brought in Malachi Moore, who I believe is going to help change the back end of that defense. And if you see this name right here, Francisco Mauigoa, anybody know where his brother is right now? He's entering the draft. I would not be surprised if, Kiko is what they call him. I would not be surprised if the Jets, since they have 2 picks in the first round, at number 2, it's probably a little bit rich for Mauigoa, but I would not be surprised if they don't bring in his brother. And there's good reason for it. Mauigoa is a good athlete. He has not proven what he can be yet, but he's a good athlete. And again, I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that you're going to see Mauigoa probably end up in New York, whether it's number 2 or number 16. I think the potential is there. The Patriots, Will Campbell. This was one of the picks that I said was a big mistake. Will Campbell had a good season, but there's some things to his game that I pointed out before the Super Bowl where I said he was going to get thrashed. And those types of measurements are going to come back to haunt you. And it's exactly what happened. Anybody that knows what they're doing off the edge and knows, I've got a guy over here that has short arms, and all I have to do is get up into his chest and push. He's not going to be able to get me off of him. Or you go around him with a long stab arm and you just bend that arc and you bend right down on that quarterback. Those are things that Will Campbell can't stop. And it was proven in the Super Bowl. That's the exact reason why Will Campbell was nowhere near the top of my board. Again, I think I ended up putting him, I'd have to go back and look, but I think I ended up putting him in the top 20 during the final mock draft. But as I kept saying, I wouldn't put him there. I wouldn't. And I don't care about his regular season being okay, right? I mean, pretty good actually at times. But go look at the level of competition that he played. 4th round, 4th place schedule. He's not going up against, the most elite pass rushers. And then he gets into a Super Bowl where now he has to go up against some of the best. And he got killed. He got straight up killed in that game. Nick P thought you liked Darius Alexander. Not this guy. No way. Go check the receipts, man. Darius Alexander was not high on my list. It was not. I'd have to go back and look at my my spreadsheet, but I don't think I have that accessible. Well, maybe I do. Let's see. All I got is 26 in front of me. I don't have 25. All right, we'll keep moving forward here. Well, we can go back and look another day, or I'll find it and show you. Panthers B+. Nick Scorton ended up being the guy that I thought he was going to be. I know a lot of people thought that Nick Scorton didn't have any production in college at A&M, and therefore he wasn't going to have any production at the pro level. And wow, what a big miss, for people to feel that way. And this is why I'm glad that Brad Holmes said it and said it best. And I think it was last season, you can't just look at the stat lines. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of fans do. That's why you go to places like this, or some of the other shows out there, much more high level than what I do. You listen to what very smart and intelligent football knowers talk about, because when they bring the real intangibles to life, and they talk about these guys in a way that is a lot deeper than just statistical output, that's where you get to learn a lot more about who the player is and who they can be. And I got to be very transparent. I think that when you are evaluating players, there's one stat that is never on a sheet, and that is, who is the person inside, right? I mean, is this guy a good dude? Is he a hard worker? Is he trying to level up? And you're going to hear that today with Akheem Mesidor, how he operates at a different level. And it'll be very apparent quickly in this interview that I'm going to share with you here in just a little bit, why it is that I felt Akheem Mesidor deserves to be in the first round. Could be the Lions pick at 17. If Caden Proctor was there, I probably wouldn't do it. But then again, depending on how Akheem Mesidor tests, and I think he's going to ace the interviews. 1,000%. He's going to ace the interviews. And he is that Dan Campbell kind of guy. When you listen to him, you'll hear why. Princely Umanamian, this is another guy that a lot of Lions fans wanted in Detroit. 46 overall grade in 2025. 45 against the run, 54 against the pass rush. Suited up for only 222 snaps. Had 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 11 solo tackles. I got a question. A lot of people think, for whatever reason, that your round 3 guys are supposed to be starters. That your round 3 guys are supposed to be cream of the crop, play at a high level. Now, Broderick Martin never panned out. The injury sapped him. I think that, where he is now, he'll have an opportunity to progress. But that injury sapped him. And the Lions didn't have time. They were all out of time. They had to get guys that they could put on the field, because the way the injury problem that we were having was progressing and fast, we were out of players. There was no more room for Broderick Martin. So if you're not healthy and if you're not able to play, there was no more room on the roster. But it doesn't mean that he won't end up being even a fairly decent, rotational backup, especially at a nose tackle position that is pretty hard, to find guys that can play that position with that kind of size to eat up some double teams. But Princely Umanamian didn't have a good year at all. Now, he had a better year than what Broderick Martin did, totally 2 different positions. But the point that I'm trying to make is not every 3rd round pick is going to be great. And they're not going to be great in their first year. They may not even be great in their second year. They may not even be average. Kirby Joseph was okay, right? He was okay. It took him 3 years. But by some other, people's standards, that would have been a bust. Now, his knee is what it is, but you've got to stop looking at people from the surface level of where they were drafted. You get a lot of players that actually play well above where they were drafted, and those are just good blessings to have. Not much more can be said about Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm surprised they didn't get an A here, but the rest of their draft outside of Emeka Egbuka, just not exciting. Just not exciting at all. And I think that when you look at a draft like this, and you go back and look at how these players performed, David Walker was another one that a lot of Lions fans thought was potential first-round pick, and someone that was better than Tyleik Williams, or better than a handful of other guys, and it would have been a better choice. He didn't even play. He didn't even play in his rookie year. Nothing. No snaps, no stats, no nothing. So is that a bust? Because that's essentially, a Broderick Martin pick. 96 to 121. There's not a whole lot of difference there. So is he a bust now? How does David Walker go from one of the most interesting prospects, a lot of Lions fans wanted him on the team, to now washing out of the league afterward? I don't mean that, literally, but first year, he doesn't do squat. I just make it make sense to me, because someone's got to make it make sense soon. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to believe what I already do, and it's just, there's a lot of actors out there that really don't know football, so they just act. They put on a show. Donovan Ezeraku. Now, this is a guy that I definitely wanted in Detroit. Unfortunately, we did not get him, but my God, is he just exactly who I thought he was going to be. He's going to be special. Again, I'm going to use that S word a lot today. He already is special. He had a great rookie season. 73 overall grade, 66 in the pass rush, 62 against the run. That's damn good for a rookie quarterback, or a rookie edge defender playing in the linebacker role, off-ball linebacker, 6'2", 247 pounds. A little bit small to really be out on the outside edge, but in Dallas's defense, it works well. I mean, it works really well. 2 sacks on the season, 1 forced fumble. Only played about half the snap, 603. But good overall season, and you could see the pop and the presence that Ezeraku brought to that Dallas Cowboys defense when he was in the game. I would have put him as a linebacker in Calvin Shepard's defense. Not sure how it would have translated, but that's where I saw the fit. Omarion Hampton, he's going to be great. He's going to be great. The rest of their draft, Trey Harris, I'm not even sure how he did. I'm going to skip past that one. Washington Commanders, Josh Connerly. Josh Connerly drafted at 29. I know on a lot of people's boards they had him up a lot higher. But here's the guy, Trey Amos, the one that I felt was going to be, or should have been, a first-round pick. I wanted to see him at the back end of the first round, that a team would hopefully, snag him up for, that 5th year of control. He had some really good games last year. And then he had some really bad games. He suited up for about half the snaps. Overall grade is a 55.8. And for a corner, I wouldn't be that pissed, but where I'd be pissed is his run grade fell off the earth, man. 39.7. His coverage was a 58.8. No interceptions. That's expected. He had 23 receptions allowed on the season. He had 8 stops in the run game, but his run defense needs a lot of work. His passer rating allowed was 108.1, way too high. I've seen a lot worse. Matter of fact, you go back to 2020, 2023 and 2024 for the Lions, and you had a lot of our DBs that were giving up 110, 115, 120, somewhere in that range. We even had a couple of guys into the 130s. He, on the field, 4 pass breakups, but on the field, he can definitely play the role. Washington had an extremely bad season. So whatever was going on there, I'm not going to totally put Trey Amos at fault for the conditions in Washington last season. They suffered through a lot of injuries. They had a lot of problems schematically on both sides of the football. Just a bad overall year. Trey Amos needs to take that big step up in year 2, and that's exactly what I'm expecting for Trey Amos. But he did not come out and play to the level that I expected him to play. Falcons, They ended up getting a B for their draft. Jelon Walker. Jelon Walker had a really good first season as a rookie. Played in about half the snaps, 29 pressures on the season, 6 sacks. I mean, what more can you really ask for out of a rookie? Went number 15. He played it. Now, where they really screwed up? James Pierce. But thankfully, they brought in Jelon Walker. Their safety, though, Xavier Watts. I didn't give him a lot of credit last season, and my God, did he play well. 72 overall, 73 in coverage, 68 against the run. Played almost every snap on the season, 1,093. Passer rating against was 101.5. 4 pass breakups on the season. Allowed 21 receptions. Had 9 missed tackles, though. That's a number he's going to have to get fixed right away. The missed tackles is a problem. But he played incredibly well. This would have been a pickup for the Lions. Now, the third round, obviously, we could have done something different had we not taken Tesla. But this is a guy that I felt like, man, I didn't give him any credit. I don't know why the Lions didn't look at him a little bit harder. Could they have made something work? Probably not. Not if you're going after Tesla. But he is someone that I wish we had right now. Absolutely wish that we had him right now. Philadelphia Eagles at 15, Jihad Campbell. A lot of pomp and circumstance for this guy. How did he do? How did he play in his rookie year? Round 1, number 31 overall. A player that, again, a lot of Lions fans wanted in Detroit. Had a really good season. 76.2 overall, 69.8 against the run, 78 in coverage. And that coverage is exactly what we're needing here in 2026. His coverage ability is through the roof, and he is just scratching the surface. Now, he didn't get any sacks this year, but what he did do is lock down his assignments. 97.3 passer rating against. 6 missed tackles, need to clean that up. 21 stops, 1 forced fumble, 62 solo tackles. Just an absolute monster out there in space. But he needs some work in the pass rush. And maybe that's not his, God-given ability this early in his career. But if you could have one or the other, coverage is going to be the more important thing in the linebacker role. Andrew Makuba going up next. One of the guys that I really liked in the safety room. I was hoping that the Lions were going to double down last year and really, really go hard at filling out that safety room. And here we are now. It's kind of staring us in the face, right? Like, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Hindsight 2020 is a worse game to play. But Makuba was somebody that I really wanted in Detroit. Didn't happen. Would have given up, Tate Ratledge in place of Makuba. But he had an okay year. 57 overall, 78 in the pass rush, 81 against the run. And that's where he does his business. He comes down in that box, man, and just shreds guys. 117 passer rating against. He needs some work. Only 2 pass breakups. Only allowed 16 receptions, but 14 stops in the run and only 6 missed tackles. But he has a lot of work to do. Played about half the snaps. Who else did they bring in that had a good year? These names aren't popping to me. I'm probably missing somebody. And then your Lions, and this is where I'm going to end for today. Tyleik Williams had a phenomenal season. I know it's not the season that a lot of people are looking for. They want the pass rush. They want the sacks. I want stability. I want the run game to not ever be a problem against the Lions defense. And I want guys in there that know what they're doing, that play at a high level, that get their hands up and bat the balls down, something that we haven't had in Detroit in a long time. And Tyleik started doing it from like week 1. But Tyleik Williams and the Detroit Lions got a B for their grade. How did it work out for Tyleik Williams? Where did PFF put Tyleik Williams? Not that I care, but we're going to roll with it anyway. 62.6 overall, 69.1 in the pass rush, 53.8 against the run. Those numbers don't make sense to me. And the reason why is because his pass rush grade, I feel that's flip-flopped with the run, and it should be. I felt that he did better against the run than he did against the pass rush. But finished with 16 solo tackles, 1 sack, no forced fumbles. He had 12 stops in the run game, which is a pretty damn good year. But he only played 446 snaps, which is about a third of the season, a little bit more than a third, maybe 2/5 of the season. He has some development in front of him, and I think he's going to have an amazing sophomore season for the Detroit Lions, but he's exactly the pick that we needed. I don't see batted passes. Where's the batted passes? Oh, there we go. They only count 3, and I saw at least 4. But he finished 13th in the league in batted passes. So if you have a player, and guys like Jared Allen that played, from the era that when I grew up, I mean, those are the guys to me that really defined what the pass rush is, what a defensive line is supposed to do. Hold on. Hold the phone here. I'll be right back. Looks like we might have some breaking news. And I got to let the pup out. Give me just a moment. We'll be right back.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap back, looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Hands it to Gibbs, running right, runs through a tackle, gets down to the 10, Gibbs to the 5, still fighting, down to the 2, down to the 1, to the end zone! Yes. Touchdown, Detroit Lions! He did not quit!
Nice job.
Off to throw again, does, middle, J-Mo, angling to the end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions! J-Mo flips into the end zone for 6.
Nice job. You talking about gut punch up the middle, then talking about tossing it on the edge, and once you get him out on the edge, Sonic is gone.
Inside the 20, inside the 10, inside the 5, touchdown Detroit Lions, 44 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs putting together a day.
Hat trick. Nice job.
There's your victory formation. Kyle Allen will take the snap, take a knee, and that'll do it. Two teams will meet out in the middle of the field to say job well done, job better done on this day by your Detroit Lions. As for just the second time since 1939, they have come on the road and beaten Washington. They do it today by a score of 44-22. big bounce back for this football team, coming off an effort they were not happy with.
Nice job.
All right. Be right back here.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
Okay, I think that the breaking news that appears to be flying around right now has not picked up a lot of traction in Detroit just yet, at least from what I've seen. I don't see a whole lot going on in the Detroit media. However, I want to clarify. This is the clickbait bullcrap that I can't stand. And at least right now, without me making any sort of a phone call down, to Tampa to figure out what, the real story is, here's the story that we have. There were two individuals, now allegedly, involved in armed robbery and kidnapping. And as the article states, that the detectives believe the armed robbery is linked to reports of theft from a home in Key Largo down in Florida. But it was rented by Detroit Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold. Now, I want to be clear. I don't think Terrion Arnold is involved in any of this outside of the fact, and I don't even know why they would bring this up, but they're saying that there was a short-term rental. Now, without knowing all of the details, there was a short-term rental by Terrion Arnold. And again, allegedly here, that Terrion Arnold rented a home in Key Largo on a short-term basis. Here's the quote from the article where it says, they are battering the three victims, they are pistol whipping them, and then they are taking a handgun and sticking it in the mouth of a victim. This is what the detective of the Tampa Police Department said. Nowhere does it say that Terrion Arnold is involved in any of that. Okay, when you dig a little bit deeper, it says that a few days prior to the reported armed robbery and kidnapping, that the detective said that 2 thefts were reported from a home in Key Largo. And he said the home was a short-term rental that was being rented by Terrion Arnold. So there's the connection. Arnold is not, again, involved, from what I can tell, in any of this outside of the fact that he's been named as an individual that reported some theft of a property that he had rented or was being rented at that time by himself or family members or whatever, in his name, I guess. But I don't know all the facts outside of that. And again, I think it's a big nothing burger. I really do. I can't imagine Terrion Arnold wrapped up into any of this crap outside of he rented a home and now his name gets dragged through the mud and people are going to spin it left, right, A, B, until they unlock some sort of glitch and get some clicks. So I don't think he's involved at all. And at least from what I just read through and dug, try to find some information on, I would say that he's clear. So anyway, big nothing burger. Big nothing burger. Let me get back to this this list here, which we're pretty much done with it anyway for now. I'm not going to go through all of them. All right. Where were we? Detroit Lions, Tyleik Williams. Let me my other screen. Decent season. He has a long way to go, but it could have been a lot worse, right? I mean, he ranked as a top 35 tackle, defensive tackle in the league in the pass rush. Now think about that for a moment. There are at least 64 starting defensive tackles. At least, right? Depending on what scheme you're running and how they're deployed, you have at least 64 starting defensive tackles. And you're telling me that a rookie came in and placed in the top 35? That's better than being 63 or 65, right? He placed right in the middle And I think where he's going to take a jump this year, I bet you that number moves into the top 20 for a pass rush defensive tackle. And if that's where he ends up, I'm good with that. As long as the run defense grade, which finished outside the starting level, that number needs to come up big time. But I have to remind everyone, just because you're taken in the first round doesn't mean that you're going to be, I mean, you guys know this. It doesn't mean that you're just going to be some insanely good football player. There's plenty of first round busts. Second round, same thing. But there's a big devoid of talent, typically between picks 20 and 32. Tyleik Williams, I think that he slipped, and he probably should have been a top 20 defensive tackle. If we look at all the defensive tackles that were taken in that draft, hold on. Who was taken ahead of him? That's the question that you have to answer. Who was taken ahead of him, and how did they do? Well, we can answer that by starting with Mason Graham. Mason Graham, I believe, was taken at number 4 overall. 4 or 5. And here's how he finished. Get this. So Tyleik Williams finished as a top. Was it top 35? I have to go back now. Hold on, let me double this up. Yeah, top 35. He finished 35th out of 134 defensive linemen in the pass rush. Mason Graham, who was the 4th overall selection, finished at 68. Tyleik was better in the pass rush. Mason Graham had 1 sack. Tyleik Williams had 1 sack. Mason Graham had 0 forced fumbles. Tyleik Williams had 0 forced fumbles. Mason Graham had 10 assisted tackles. Tyleik Williams only had 4. Mason Graham had 36 total tackles. Tyleik Williams only had 16. Again, wherever you're running the football kind of dictates how you're going to be involved in the play. Just because he doesn't get a lot of tackles doesn't mean that he wasn't involved. It just means they probably ran the other way. If you break down Mason Graham's season, he played 767 snaps to Tyleik Williams 446. So almost doubled up his snaps, yet he didn't have a whole lot better stats. Didn't have more sacks, didn't have more forced fumbles, and didn't have a better grade in the pass rush. Now, overall, he was a 62.6. Tyleik Williams was. Mason Graham was a 68.7. So the difference of just 6.1 points and a difference of just 18 slots as far as defensive tackles. I would expect that the 4th overall defensive tackle would be selected or would have a much better season than that and would have finished a lot better than Tyleik Williams did. It just really wasn't the case. Now, where Mason Graham was a lot better was in the run, right? Against the run. He was much, much better against the run. Now, Tyleik Williams finished with a 53.8. Mason Graham finished with a 62.4. Not crazy amount of being better, but I do expect for Mason Graham to take that next leap, here in his sophomore season. Who was the next defensive tackle that came off the board? That would have been Grant, right? Didn't Grant went before him? Let's look him up. How did Kenneth Grant do? Not good. Where was he selected? He was selected number 13. He went to the Miami Dolphins. So both your Michigan products went ahead of Tyleik Williams. Kenneth Grant finished at a 48.4 overall. He played about 100 more snaps than Tyleik Williams, 554. His pass rush grade was 57.6, and his run defense grade was 112. Now, he did have 3 sacks on the season, so that was better from a numbers perspective. But his overall was not good. He finished as the 107th defensive lineman out of 134. Tyleik Williams finished at 48th. Kenneth Grant finished as the 91st best defensive tackle in the league against pass rush. Tyleik Williams finished as the 35th, 3 times better. And against the run, Kenneth Grant finished as 112th out of 134 with a grade of 41.2. Tyleik Williams finished at 71 with a run defense grade of 53.8. It just goes to show that stats don't mean squat. They really don't. Because if you would have looked at these stats head on and you would have saw 24 tackles, 3 sacks, 4 assists, 0 forced fumbles against 16 tackles, 1 sack, 4 assists, and 0 fumbles, you probably would have said the latter had a better season and was the better player. But that's not facts, is it? Maybe we'll play a game. Maybe I'll add that to the game show. You know what? I think I will. I'm going to put up stats with no face. And I'll have you all guess who it is and make an argument for why that player had a better season based on the stats. And we'll compare it to, could be Lions players, could be other players, so that we can really start to drive the narrative back towards sacks don't matter. They really don't. Give me the TFLs. And that is the next biggest thing that I don't see here. I need TFL numbers. That's the number that matters the most to me. Mm-hmm. I'd have to look for it. Let's take a look here. TFLs. Here we go. Aiden Hutchinson finished with 14 on the season. Put it in the chat right now. Take a guess. Where do you think 14 TFLs finished as far as number, like 1 through 100? 1 being the best and 100 being, 100. But where do you think 14 TFLs would finish? Meaning how many players probably had more or less than 14 TFLs? What is the number that you're going to roll with? Not sure what you mean there, Raw. TFLs to sell? Sacks do what? No clue what that means. Let me see where it only goes to the top 25. Well, I can tell you this. Grant, Williams, and Graham, none of them were in the top 25. I don't have my other stat machines open to find the rest of the stats, but the number is 12. So Aiden Hutchinson had the 12th most TFLs on the season with 14. The big difference here is Myles Garrett had 33 TFLs. Max Crosby had 28. Brian Burns had 22. Will Anderson Jr. had 20. Tui Polu, I can never say his name. TT had 20. TT might be one of the best pickups in this past draft. Like he's played incredibly well. Incredibly well. Oh, I got you, Raw. TFLs don't sell. Sacks do. Yeah, no, I hear you. And I think that everyone that knows ball knows that TFLs are the most important number to go along with turnovers, Those two numbers are the most important numbers outside of points on the board when you're really grading a defense and how they're playing and their ability to shut down teams. TFLs are huge. Myles Garrett at 33 is insane. I'm just going to throw it out there just so I can get you all fired up this morning. But as much talk about Max Crosby as there has been, when I hear, well, yeah, Aiden needs, that running mate, or Aiden needs, that someone to help him out on the other side. I got news for y'all. Max wouldn't be helping Aiden. Okay? Max is better than Aiden. Aiden would be his sidekick. That's how that pair would work. In case y'all didn't know that. Max Crosby is a much better defensive end from his body of work and how he plays the game. And his discipline is what is critical. It's his discipline. Max Crosby is not all about the stats. He's about playing the game the way it's supposed to be played. The stats will come. He knows that, but he's not a selfish football player at all. And I'm not saying that Aiden is, but absolutely Max is a much better football player. He's got more years on Aiden right now in the league. A couple more years. Aiden will catch up to him at some point. And the sack numbers don't really matter. I think that the way you play the game is more important. But he had 10 sacks this last season, according to Fox Sports. All right, next up is Tate Rowledge, and then we'll look at Isaac Tesla. Tate Rowledge finished not bad for a rookie, man. 24th out of 81 guards in the league in overall grade, 70.3. 1,088 snaps. He played the 10th most snaps out of any guard in the league last season. 73.5 run blocking grade. That's pretty amazing grade for a rookie. 12th out of 81. The guy's a mauler, man. He's an absolute mauler. Now, his pass blocking grade needs a lot of help. A lot of help. He did not do well this last season. Could have done a lot better. I think that, you have to put some of the blame on the scheme and the confusion and all the crap that was going on early. A lot of that stuff's going to go away this year. I have a big feeling, sneaking suspicion. But the one thing I didn't realize about Tate is how old he is. He's 24 years old. He's pretty old coming into the league at 24. I guess I'm kind of surprised that he was that old. He only allowed 2 sacks. Only had 7 penalties. Could have been a lot better. 7 penalties is a lot. It's too many. I like to see that number, closer to 3. But for a rookie, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad. But if we're going to weigh him against the players that went ahead of him, let's take a look at Will Campbell. Even though Will Campbell plays a different position, why not? Let's see how they compared. Will Campbell ended up with a 72.6. He was ranked as the 32nd best tackle out of 89. 76.1 in the pass blocking grade, 23 out of 89. And 67.7 in the run, 39 out of 89. Where does that compare to Tate? Well, Tate had a much better run blocking grade. And their overall grade was only separated by about 2.3 points. But where Will Campbell had the better grade was in the pass. His pass blocking grade was much better. Will Campbell had allowed 5 sacks, though, to Tate Rowledge 2. And Will Campbell also had 7 penalties, exactly the same number as Tate Rowledge. The big difference here, Tate Rowledge played 300 snaps more than Will Campbell, which is crazy. I mean, that's like 5 games worth of snaps. The offense was on the field for a long time in Detroit. Now, why was New England not on the field a whole lot? Why? Or did he miss some games? I don't know if he missed some games. I don't think he missed any games. Let's take a quick peek. How many games did he play? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. Oh, yeah, he missed some time. So between weeks 13 and 17, he did not play. I don't remember why. I don't remember what his injury was. But he definitely missed some time. Tate didn't miss any time. All right, let's take a look at the next offensive lineman that went ahead, and that'd be Armand Membu, another tackle, so different position. You know, part of the reason why I wanted to do this today, quite simply, is because there's just so much crap being said about Brad Holmes, and this was a bad draft, and last year was a bad draft. Don't buy into the hype, because number one, we really don't evaluate players after year one. You really don't want to do it after year two. You want to give these guys an opportunity to get their feet set. And grading them after one season, I mean, it's just part of what evaluators do to take a look at where these players are. But their true ability in this game really isn't going to start to set in until about halfway through their sophomore season. And about halfway through next season, if that player has not taken a major step forward, then you might want to start worrying a little bit. But definitely, you know, about halfway through year three, if that's probably what you're going to get. Assuming that they haven't had any major injuries, that's the level of play you should expect. And could it still get better? Yes. But 2.5 years into the league, you should be in much better shape. You should understand a lot more, and you should be playing at a much higher level. So you really can't grade these guys this early. It's really, I got something going on in my eye. It's really not fair to these guys to grade them that early. But Armand Membu, what an amazing season for this guy. Unfortunately, let's see. Did he move positions, or was he always a right tackle? I thought he was a left tackle. Anyway, he played 1,045 snaps at right tackle. Really good grades for a rookie. 72.7, 31st out of 89, 73.8 in the pass block, 31 out of 89 again, and 72.1 in the run, 27 out of 89. 11 penalties, though. 11 penalties and 8 sacks allowed. Somebody make it make sense, because how did PFF give this guy these types of grades when you've got that many penalties and that many sacks? I don't get it. I really need to understand how they're grading these guys when, if you go back and look at Will Campbell's numbers, he didn't have that many sacks or allow that many hits or have that many penalties, and his grades are way worse. I know it's a small part of the process, but it's still part of the process. So he had a better season. You would say statistically he didn't, but grade-wise he did over Tate Ratledge, and that just doesn't make sense to me. Especially when you see those penalty numbers be what they are. Here's the first guard, Tyler Booker. He was taken at number 12 overall. Let's see how he did compared to old Tate Ratledge. Pretty damn good season for Tyler Booker. He played in 1,002 snaps, 7 penalties. Tate Ratledge, 7 penalties. 3 sacks allowed. Tate Ratledge, 2 sacks allowed. So pretty even as far as sacks and penalties are concerned. Booker allowed 7 hits, and Tate Ratledge allowed 9. So pretty close. Tate Ratledge also allowed 24 pressures, and Tyler Booker allowed 25. Again, damn near identical. And as far as snaps, Tate played, like a whole nother game more than Tyler Booker. 1,088 snaps for Tate, 1,003 for Tyler Booker. The difference comes in the grade. Again, 72 overall for Booker compared to Tate. Tate had the 70.3. So just 1.7 points difference. That was good enough for 16th, where Tate was the 24th best. Run blocking grade, again, Tate Ratledge was a 73.5, and Tyler Booker was a 76.8, which was good for 7th. Tate Ratledge was good for 12th. So just a couple of points difference bumps you up quite a bit. 62.4 in the pass blocking grade, so he just got into that green level, which is about average. I mean, right at the average level. Tyler Booker was 40th out of 81. Tate Ratledge was 60th out of 81 with a 58.5. So just 2 or 3 more points, and Tate Ratledge would have been kind of right there with Tyler Booker. But overall, I almost feel like you kind of have to give this one to Tate. I think that the PFF is wrong here. He allowed more sacks. He allowed more pressures, albeit 1, and he did that on 85 less snaps. So if you think about it, Tate Ratledge went 85 snaps of mistake-free football, compared to Tyler Booker. I mean, that's not exactly correct, but you get what I'm saying. For another 85 snaps, his play didn't get worse. You get what I'm going with here? So again, Tate was the right choice. He was my number 1 offensive guard in the draft last year, and I think that you can definitely see why. All right, Gray Zabel would be the next. And then we have Donovan Jackson, and then we finally get to Tyleik Williams. I'm going to hurry up on these next 2. All right, Gray Zabel. Oof. Let me just do something. I should have been doing this the whole time. Try to throw it up on the screen. I should have just been doing it earlier. I don't know why I didn't. I don't know why it's not working either. What in the world is going on? It just does not show up on the back end. There's got to be something I'm doing wrong. I've never had this much difficulty with OBS as I've had in the last 3-4 months. We used to fly through these things. It was so easy just to throw it up on the screen, and it's just different. All right, here we go. At least it's up now. It's somewhat legible. See if we can make it bigger. There we go. All right. Gray Zabel. 57.3 overall, 51st in the league. 56th in the run, 58.6 against the pass. Tate Ratledge. There you go. There's the numbers. Much, much better than Gray Zabel. Gray Zabel, 5 penalties, 2 sacks. Very similar to Tate Ratledge. 7 penalties, 2 sacks. 4 hits allowed by Gray Zabel on 24 pressures. Tate Ratledge, 9 hits allowed on 24 pressures. So he allowed 5 more hits. 1,087 snaps for Tate. 1,050 for Gray. So almost identical as far as snaps and everything else. And Tate Ratledge had a much better year. I mean, at least grading-wise, much, much better year according to PFF. So right now, Tate Ratledge is clearly the right play. We have one more to look at. Donovan Jackson. And he didn't finish out as good either as Tate Ratledge did. 4 penalties, 2 sacks. The penalty numbers were a little bit better. Only 795 snaps, so he was about 300 snaps less than Tate. He allowed 5 hits. Again, Tate Ratledge allowed 9. And 26 pressures down here on the bottom right. Here, you can't see that with my logo in the way. 26 pressures down here on the bottom right. Tate Ratledge, 24. So Tate clearly was the better player, the better choice, the right choice in last year's draft. So are we still blaming Brad Holmes for taking Tate Ratledge? I know a lot of people had a lot to say, and I just got one thing to say. You were wrong. Admit it, and let's move forward. Oh my God, Robbie! If that happens with Manu, that would be insane. Zabel, Trace, I think that Zabel's got a long way to go in a good way. I think that Zabel is far away from his ceiling. He's going to be just fine. You got hot early on Zabel, and rightfully so, because he's a damn good football player. But like everybody, you just can't be judged and put into a box because of your rookie season. I think it's irresponsible to do that to players. There's a lot more to these guys than just one season. Quick Bradley Chubb injury update. Since we're talking about Bradley Chubb over the last couple of days, is he fit for the Detroit Lions? Well, he's coming in at about 30 years old when the season starts. 6'4", 268 pounds. So he could play that bigger end size, if you will. Injuries throughout his career, though. Let's just go back to, where should we start? 2017. He had a dislocated left pinky. 2019, he had a left knee injury. Week 4. And he was out the remainder of the season. 2020, he missed the last 2 games of the 2020 season with a left ankle injury that required off-season surgery. So 2 surgeries back-to-back years. 2021, he comes back, and then he tweaked his right ankle this time. So it was left knee, left ankle. Now it's the right ankle. During training camp, he missed week 1. And then a couple weeks later, he aggravated that same ankle in a week 2 victory over the Jags, placed on IR, missed 8 games. So left knee, left ankle, 2 major surgeries. Right ankle, missed 8 games, and had to be a high ankle sprain. And then 2021, so he comes back after missing several games. And yeah, he went from week 2. So it was December 5th. He went from week 2 to come back. He came back in week 13, and he suffered a shoulder injury. Doesn't this sound like Davenport? Right? You get healthy, you come in, you play a snap or 2, and then all of a sudden, you're injured again. Comes back in 2022. He returned in a limited role in week 18 to finish out the 2021 season. Then he starts off 2023, where he tears his right ACL. Week 17 versus the Ravens. And I think he missed, didn't he miss all of 24? I think he missed all of 24. But his chance of injury is pretty high. I mean, he's been banged up all over the place. But if you were to compare that same injury history to Marcus Davenport, it's eerily similar. And so that's where I'm going to put the pressure on the people that really want a guy like Bradley Chubb in Detroit, because I mean, either you're going to be mad about injuries or you're not. Either injuries matter to you or they don't. Which one is it? I would like to know. I really would. In his career, though, so far, 4,442 snaps. Hold on here. That doesn't make sense. He's played about 70% of the snaps lifetime. 179 solo tackles, 48 sacks, 35 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 14 forced fumbles. All great numbers. 7 passes deflected. All great numbers. And then in 2025, after missing the 2024 season, came back and put up 1,000. What was it? No, I'm sorry. Out of 1,071 defensive snaps, he played 766. So again, about his average, about 71%. He had 24 tackles, solo, 47 overall, 9 sacks on the season, 8 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. So he comes back and has a banger of a year. Why the hell would the Dolphins release a guy that just had an incredible season? That's the biggest question. Why would they do that? Is it because of his contract? Probably. Probably. Now, they plan on rebuilding their team. We do know that, but the Miami Dolphins released Bradley Chubb, who was a 2-time Pro Bowler, by the way, and what marks, I'd say it's the start of a significant roster churn down there in Miami. The new or the GM John Eric Sullivan is definitely looking at kind of going through a full rebuild from what sources have said. This is not a retooling effect. They're not even confident if they're going to keep the quarterback Tagovailoa, and it sounds like things are going to get much worse in Miami before they get better. Now, he had signed a 5-year $110 million extension upon arriving in Miami. And honestly, when you look at those numbers, that's kind of a steal for today's number. Let me pull up his contract. Let's see what he has left. See, he'll be 30 years old when the season starts. Looks like he only has a couple of seasons left. I'll have to fix this, but bear with me. You know what? I can make it better going this way. We'll go this way. There we go. Oh, we're locked in. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. No, it's going to cut it all off. Go figure. All right, so there you go. Bradley Chubb in 2025. Actually, I got to back it way out so we could even see it. In 2025, he made about 12.4. But this year in 2026, $31.2 million cap hit. That's just crazy numbers. Crazy numbers. Oh, boy. I got to sign in. Oh, it actually worked. Thank you for fixing it, SpoTrack. I had to get a hold of them all weekend because I have not been able to get into my account for months. All right, so by releasing him this year, what happened to his contract is the question. And what happens with the Lions now? Let's say that the Lions wanted to bring him in. Okay? Well, we released him. The Dolphins released him, so they saved $7.4 million, and they're going to eat a $23.9 million cap hit. So what do you think Bradley Chubb is going to want for a contract? That's the biggest question, because they're going to have to pay the guy, right? They're going to have to pay him $24 million. of whatever wasn't already paid to him. So you've got some signing bonus money. You got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About $9 million of that is bonus money. It looks like he'll probably get. Well, you just take 7.3 minus 24, right? It looks like he's probably going to get about $16.5 million at least. Paid this year. Now that's just me looking at it real quick. So don't lock me in on the numbers. But the question is, what is he going to be worth? What's his market value? Of course, we don't have a market value on him. Why not? Why don't we have a market value? Well, that's just great. That's just great. No market value. Question is, how much is he going to want? How much is he worth? And go to my little calculator over here. Let's try to figure it out. You know, the fact that he's already been released, I think that did they release him right away? They didn't like designate this post June 1, right? He's been released. So that means I believe he's signable. I don't think he has to wait till free agency. I think he's signable because he's a street free agent. The way I understand it, he would be a street free agent right now. So he could be signed by anybody. He could be signed by anybody. If I'm understanding it correct. Yeah, Davenport's gone. Did we sign Chubb? No, we did not sign Chubb. We did not sign Chubb yet, Kurt. Trying to go through some of the chat here to see trying to get myself caught up. Yeah, Davenport's not under contract this year. He's gone. He was on a 1-year deal last year. So he's donezo. Okay, so Chubb had no guaranteed salary left, I guess, for 2026. The Dolphins are going to get that $23.8 million cap hit. Depending on how they release him, I guess from what I understand, he's done. He's cut, which means he's street free agent. But for a new team, whatever he negotiates is what a new team is going to pay. So since he has no offsets, no clauses, no guaranteed money, he's going to get 100% of whatever the new contract is that he signs, and he does not have to pay anything back to Miami. So what happens to his contract when a new team picks him up? Well, the old contract is now dead, and whenever a vested veteran, which is more than 4 years of experience, is released, their contract is terminated immediately, and a new team does not have to pick up his old deal. So if for some reason, like you have a player that is claimed on waivers, then the old contract gets picked up, which is rare for veterans. It doesn't happen a whole lot. But he's when he signs a new deal, it'll be a completely new contract. You don't have to worry about any of his old money. But the question is he going to want that 22-ish million that he signed before? Remember, he signed a 5-year, 110, deal that was roughly $22 million a year. Exactly $22 million a year. But with all this new money being floated around and some of these guys getting paid pretty hefty dollars, even into their 30s, what is he worth? And I think that's the scary question. And is he worth taking a chance on in Detroit? You guys probably already know my answer. I'm not taking the risk. I'm not. Too many injuries. I don't care about one season. Now, Davenport was he was a different story for several reasons, but the biggest reason was cost. And had Davenport actually worked out, I mean, he still played fairly decent when he was in. I don't care about the stat lines as much as I do care about what he did when he was on the field. And I feel for those reasons alone, yeah, a deal like Davenport, well, that's advantageous for the Lions. I don't think Chubb's going to get something like that. I think he's going to sign for at least $10 million, at least. It'll be a 1-year contender deal if teams are smart. I don't think that you want to sign him to a multi-year deal. And he probably wants to go play for a contender. So I would expect, that the top 6 deals or the top 6 teams out there are probably where he's looking to join, whether it's the Patriots or the Seahawks or the Lions. It could be the Bears. It could be the Rams. Nah, he ain't going to the Rams. Panthers. Panthers actually make some sense. And I guess when you look at the scheme, I'm going to bring up my sheet. I guess when you look at the scheme that the Dolphins ran in 2025 and 2026, they emphasized more of a 4-3 base front. And they did, before that, they were in more of a 3-4 alignment. But last year, they really transitioned into that wide 9. So does he fit? Potentially. Potentially he does. I just don't know if the money's going to fit, especially if you're looking at getting younger, getting healthier, getting long-term. I don't see it. I mean, they didn't want to spend $10 million on Zadarius Smith, rightfully so. I mean, the guy was going to retire, and he barely played. This is a 70% guy. I mean, is he an every down player? Probably. But then again, I'd probably see Chubb in on the, on the longer downs. So if it's 1st and 10 and they get a penalty and it's now 1st and 20, that's when Chubb comes in. When it's 2nd and long, that's when Chubb comes in. When it's 3rd down, that's when Chubb comes in. I don't see him being an every down player. I don't. And I think for Detroit, they emphasize 4 down, 3 down linemen. They want guys to be able to be versatile and play as much as possible and earn that right? I mean, you hear him say that often. They have to earn that right to be able to rush the passer. Oh, Mahomes just restructured $43.5 million, huh? Yeah, Davenport's not coming back. There's no way. I mean, that worked just fine when they needed some depth, and again, had he stayed healthy, I think that you'd have seen a much different version of Davenport. Unfortunately, that we didn't get to see. All right, let's transition into this video. I don't think we're gonna have any issues with it. If we do, just let me know, and then we'll have to transition off, and then I'll have to reach out to the Miami Hurricanes and see if we can get access to the video to play here while I'm live. Otherwise, I'll have to do my own video with it. But being that this is for educational purposes, we should be okay. But Akheem Mesidor had an interview prior to the season, and I think what you're going to learn here is how humble, how smart, how fun this guy is. He's always smiling, as you can see right there. He's always smiling, man. He's going to tell you that too. He's always happy. Had a rough upbringing, pretty rough upbringing, but he never found it to be a problem. And I didn't realize, coming from up north, right, and in Canada, the guy speaks or used to speak fluent French, still does, can still carry on a conversation. So when you start to look at those boxes to check, do they fit the Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell style? He does. He's smart. I mean, he's really intelligent. He tries to do all the little different things to get better and find an edge, and he'll talk about that too. But Akheem Mesidor here on the Storm Hurricanes channel. Here we go.
You're getting old because we were talking about Pilates during the break. That's a sign that you're getting a little older.
Yeah.
So you're doing Pilates. What's that going on?
So me and Ruben, and Mo, we went to Pilates for the first time 3 weeks ago because Ruben got invited, and so he invited whoever wanted to come. And it was my first time, and it was pretty cool. It was hard, a lot harder than I expected, but I've done it twice. I'm gonna keep doing it. I fluctuate from Pilates, doing extra D-line work, and swimming on the weekend, so I just need to find time to get back to Pilates.
Yeah, but look, I mean, the veterans are the ones doing it, right? Is that something you found as you gotten just older in the game, you're learning your body more and not just like, hey, pound the weights, recover, like actually figure out how to do it?
Yeah, as you get older, you start learning what you can and can't do with your body. And also, everybody in the country is doing team organized workouts. So like, it might be hard, but it's also the bare minimum that everybody else is doing. So just finding things that you can get an edge helps you get better.
Are you trying to show off at the beach a little bit? You're down to 260. What's going on?
I don't really like the beach. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd rather go to the pool, but it does feel good to be able to take your shirt off.
So let's talk all the way back. I was talking with you.
Okay, so to maintain our copyright-free educational purposes only, let's break it down a little bit. What I just learned from Akheem Mesidor right there is, one, he's willing to try new things to make his body better. He understands the functionality of his body, I think, at a little bit higher level than some players his age. The fact that it's not just go bang the weights and, continue to just lift and lift and lift and lift and lift. He's trying to find an edge. So he went to Pilates and he found out that it was difficult, even though he's in superior shape, that it was difficult and it tested him. And so for those reasons, not only is it going to help him with his agility, but it's going to help strengthen other parts of his body that he's not getting from just pounding the weights. And then if you kind of took away, from him that he wants to swim, and in between doing all of these other things, he's just doing things differently to try to get healthier, to get stronger, and to gain that edge over other players. So very smart. I think that these are the kinds of players that you want in Detroit. The guys that get these ads kicked off real quick. He's the kind of player that you want in Detroit. The ones that are willing to do whatever it is that they have to do. But we'll keep on going. He's very well spoken, very smart, and you'll catch that here throughout this interview.
Your mom, Carol, great lady. Amazing story, going from foster care to having 2 degrees. Just a really inspirational story on her end, right? She moves to Ottawa. You're born in Ottawa. Got a ton of siblings. Just tell me about what you remember just growing up at a young age.
Growing up I'm not going to sit here and say it was difficult, because really I had a lot of fun growing up. Maybe we weren't in the best situations, but I was always outside. I was always having fun with my friends. There was times where things got hard, but I always focused on the positive, really. I've always been a positive person, smiling all the time. So growing up was cool. It's I don't know, it's really just home, really.
So what's a kid like, let's say, young kid, underage, do in Canada? Is that snowman? Is that like riding the sled? Like,
it's everything. It's from the summer, being outside, going to little small water parks, to riding your bike around, scooting around, playing football in the backyard, soccer, basketball, to being in the fall where all the leaves start falling off the trees, building building up piles of leaves, jumping in the leaves, Halloween, and then going into the winter where you build snowmen, snowball fights, there's snow days, the plows come in, they start plowing the streets. Now you have huge mountains, you're playing King of the Hill, do ice skating. I didn't really play hockey, but yeah, it's just a bunch of everything, really.
I mentioned you had a ton of siblings, and I try to let myself off the hooks. I want to make sure I get the pronunciations right, but I'll just go through them. You stop me if I'm wrong. Nelisha, Chanelia, Chris, and Trevor on your mom's side. Then your dad's side, Nell's Queen, Virael,
Virel.
All right,
Stacy, and Nelsda. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
There we go. So
let me
shout out
stop
to
it here.
Shout out.
Let me stop it here for just a brief second. I think what we just learned here is the dude loves to have fun, right? And I don't know how many of you were just going back in your memory banks and thinking about your time as a child. He did all the things that you love to do too. Man, there was nothing better than a giant pile of leaves and you're jumping in it with your dog, or I've talked about it many times to where we just don't have the snow that we used to. But as a kid, we used to love when the plows came. And exactly like he said, you're building those forts, or, you're playing King of the Hill or whatever it is. He's just a normal dude, right? Having fun up in Canada. Got to, a very similar experience with the Four Seasons. However, they get a lot more snow in certain areas, but just a well-rounded dude, man. Loves to have fun. Love playing sports. And I think it's his sports identity and where it started, how it started, that you're going to hear here pretty quickly, that he had a very natural, affinity for the game of football. But we'll let him tell the story.
To the whole crew, you mentioned some of the positives and some of the childhood memories. I understand you got to deal with a condition at a young age with narcolepsy. Mm-hmm. Just tell us a little bit about what you had to overcome and what you had to deal with that.
I never really thought anything of it. Really, I just was falling asleep. You don't really know when you fall asleep. You just fall asleep and you wake up. But my mom always explained to me that I had to fall asleep everywhere, on the stairs, anywhere, bro. I'll be outside falling asleep. At a young age, like eight years old, playing football. If I'm laying down for too long, I'll fall asleep on the field. I'll just fall asleep everywhere. But it's really now I don't really feel it. I got used to it. When I was younger, I used to have to go to the nursing office and take a pill every single morning to keep myself up for the rest of the day in elementary school. And even the doctor didn't even know if I was going to be able to drive because it was severe when I was younger. But it's fine now. It doesn't really affect me anymore.
Okay, this is crazy. You don't hear of narcolepsy very often. And I don't know if I've shared this with you guys, but I'm sure plenty of you have seen this. When I'm yawning a lot and, I look like I'm exhausted, I am exhausted. Ever since I had cancer, a lot changed, right? I mean, your body goes through a lot of changes, and, not having a thyroid, your hormone imbalances, all that stuff is just a major problem. But I went for a sleep study several months ago, and years ago, they said that I had sleep apnea. Well, I failed two tests for sleep apnea, and this last test that I just took, and that was over the last 10 years, I've had multiple tests. I don't have sleep apnea. It didn't register at all. I have narcolepsy, and I didn't know that. But as he just said, the same thing that I was explaining to my doctor, I used to fall asleep all the time when I was a kid. I was the kid always getting in trouble in class because I'd be falling asleep. They would move me to the front of the class. How the bad kids, you get moved to the front of the class because, the kids are sleeping in the back. Well, when you're young, you're talking 30 years ago, there's just not as much medical information as there is today. They used to just think that we were bad kids because we were falling asleep, that we were staying up too late, eating too much sugar, yada, 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 and we were just bad kids. Well, that wasn't the case, and I didn't know. I wasn't putting two and two together. About 10 years ago, I was in a company vehicle heading home from South Haven. I was coming from the cottage back home and fell asleep. Didn't know until I woke up. I hit a cow in a past year, went down the gully into a farm and hit a cow with a company car. Again, you know, you get tested for everything. I don't drink, right? I don't do drugs, so that wasn't the issue. I fell asleep. Again, still didn't register. But after I had this major injury back in 2020 and that well pump fell on my head, I've had a few MRIs and some other things. They found a tumor in my brain, which I don't know if I've shared that with anybody yet either. But I guess I've developed narcolepsy, or I've always had it, and just now it's more prevalent. So I have to take these stupid pills now called modafinil or Provigil, whatever it's called, modafinil. And I don't think they help. If anything, I think it makes me more dizzy. The fact that he has it, that is the biggest concern that I have now. It doesn't go away. And I'm wondering if this is going to be a big red flag for teams and if this is going to push him down the board because of that issue. Now, and again, I don't know what the NFL allows because you're not allowed to take any stimulants. And technically this is a stimulant, but it's not like ADHD medication, you know, the real stimulants that are out there. It's totally different. This works by functioning with your hypothalamus and just triggers you to stay awake, I guess. So anyway, it was so crazy when I heard him say this because I'm like, I deal with that. And I feel like I told you guys so many different things. You would think that I'm nuts, but there's literally like 50 things in my chart now. And they're just not figuring out how they're all tied together. But cancer really, really screwed it all up. So very, very weird that he has that because you don't hear about it ever.
One thing your mom said was you play football, like you said, you're falling asleep on the field. But once you switch from offense to defense, it was like, boom, you're loving it. You're feeling energized. Is that how it went?
Yeah, I really didn't like football at first because when you don't play, when you just start playing, they just throw you on the line. So they put me on the O-line, and I was 8 years old, 60 pounds, bored as hell. I didn't want to be there. And then they switched me to the D-line. I was still a small D lineman, but I started having fun because now you don't have to depend on anybody else. You just line up and play. And then I still didn't know how to play football. It's really just see ball, get ball. Like I'd line up in a 3-point stance. As soon as the ball was snapped, I'd stand straight up and try to find the ball and run after it. I wouldn't get vertical. I just stand up, look for the ball and run after it. So I had fun because it felt more independent. I felt like I can make a play every play.
And once you switched to defense, were you like a star player on the team, still finding yourself? What was your progression like?
My first year, I was still finding myself. My second year, still, getting a little bit more comfortable. But then my third year on, from like age 10 on, I was pretty solid. And
it was football all the way, right? No, like basketball, baseball,
hockey? I played volleyball.
Okay. I
actually love volleyball. Volleyball is really fun. It's actually my second favorite sport. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I tell somebody I play volleyball, they look at me sideways. I don't know. Do you guys have like men volleyball in high school in the States?
Not as much. Definitely women's more than men's. Yeah, we had some.
Well, yeah, we had men's volleyball. I started playing when I was in 5th grade and then up until the 10th grade. It's fun. I love it.
Did it help you with football at all?
Maybe not. I don't know.
And you also spoke French, right, in school?
Yeah.
All right, quick pause here. I just got to ask, do you guys remember that commercial? That Mentos commercial? That one guy that was just like an extra that was doing all the extra and he did like that Mentos thing. You remember that? Is this not the guy? Does he not look exactly like him? Do you know who I'm talking about? I'm going to have to find a picture now. But anyway, talking about his volleyball as his second favorite sport, that's kind of out of the box, right? You don't hear about a lot of football players wanting to play volleyball. Not to say that they don't go do it on the beach or whatever when they're having some fun, but that's kind of funny. I think it's kind of cool too at the same time. He's different. Akheem Mesidor is just different, and he likes to do things his own way, and I can certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, I went to a French school from junior kindergarten up until the 8th grade.
Do you ever drop your French down here? Because we got a lot of French speakers in Miami.
Not really. I really only speak French when I talk to my dad or maybe somebody from back home. But I don't really practice often, so I'm kind of losing it. I can still hold a conversation, but there's some words that I have to say in English. So I speak like French, English mix.
Your dad had Haitian descent, right?
Yeah.
You ever get any Haitian food here in Miami? It's all over the place.
I have up north. You have to drive kind of far for it though. But yeah, I have. it's cool. It's good.
You know, Wesley Bastanes was hyping it up here when he was on his episode. He was talking about the rice. He says the rice is like next level.
Oh yeah, it's the best food in the world.
So you're growing up playing ball. Obviously, Canada, you know, different country, different football culture. What was the football culture like in Canada once you got to high school and it started getting more serious?
It's really, the culture is obviously different. In the States, it's more like it's kind of like a lifestyle, depending on where you are. Back home, it's not really that big. Like there's still a bunch of people who play football. There's still a bunch of teams, but it's not as meaningful, I feel like, because it's different back home. Here, you can change your life playing football. Back home, it's not as big. You can't get a full scholarship. Like there's no full ride. It's only like a partial scholarship. And it's not the biggest stage. Like if you want to play football, people want to play on the biggest stage. So they come to the States, they play college football, and then dream on going to the NFL. But everybody still competes. Football is football at the end of the day. People always ask me about like the competition difference and stuff. To me, it's obviously you'll have top tier teams in America, but that's not every team. The majority of teams are pretty normal, regular. So the talent level isn't that much different. I don't think it's different at all, except for the select few. Like when I went from Canada, playing in Canada to playing in the States, I was nervous at first because people always talking about, oh, Americans this, Americans that, the talent is this. Oh, they'll eat you for breakfast, blah, blah, blah. I came to the States, started playing football, man. It was the same thing.
Love it. Go back to your mom a second, Carol. We talked about her just working her way to get all these degrees, working multiple jobs, 5 kids under her roof. What did you see from her and just her work ethic that influenced you?
She's willing to do anything to take care of her people, of her family. And I didn't really understand that at first growing up. But as I started growing up, as I started to just step into the real world, the adult world, I started to understand how much she did and how much of a toll it put on her. But at the end of the day, she's willing to do anything to take care of her kids.
One thing she told me was that there were certain people along the journey, we won't name names, but maybe people in schools that were maybe doubting that you could go do all the things you've done in football. And that, you know, you talking to her is very much follow your dreams and dream big. Was there some doubters that you could make it out of Canada to now big time college football where you're at now, potentially the NFL?
Yeah, there was some doubters. Like when you live in a small city, well, it's not a small city. In my city, it's not often where you see a bunch of people or you see guys leave and go to the States and do bigger things, right? And there is a lot of people who show a lot of love, but there's also some who doubt and just don't really want to see another person win. So there was definitely that. And also that kind of, I didn't have a lot of confidence growing up either. I struggled with confidence. But my mom always believed in me. My coach Vic, he's really like a big brother to me. He always believed in me, him and his wife, Charmaine. So I had people in my corner. I had the right people in my corner to help me along the way. But there was always like a voice in the back of my head and just a voice of doubt and not knowing if I was actually good enough. But the people in my corner, my mom always told me I was great, always told me I could do this and go play in NFL and whatnot. And then Coach Vic, he always pushed me to just be my best. So I had the right people around me, thank God, and I love them so much. And basically, they're the reason I'm here today.
When did it click?
That is some deep stuff. He's so humble. You know, there's a couple players a year that you just kind of just get. Right? Or you fall in love is probably the wrong term, but you really just understand them. And when you look at their career so far, their snapshot, through where they are in life right now, you really don't know everything about them until you get an interview like this, where some pretty powerful stuff is coming out. I'm telling you right now, he's probably going to be one of the best interviews at the Combine. And it's for things like this that when you get to learn more about these players, like this is where it really, I have a lot of fun with it. And these are the moments where the dots start to connect and the players that deserve to be in the NFL, taking the next step, are the ones like Akheem Mesidor that are trying to do everything right, came from a bad situation. And by bad situation, it wasn't bad other than they didn't have a lot of money, lot of siblings, right? Pretty tough to survive, when not a lot of money's coming in and you got a lot of mouths to feed. But then hearing about how his mom was the number one voice in his head, keeping him going, because like he said, in the back of his mind, he doubted himself every step along the way. And if it wasn't for his mom or, the coach back then, I think he said Coach Vic and his wife, Charmaine, that those are the people that kept him going and giving him that spark of confidence that he needed. It's those types of stories that you want to see these guys win. And those are the kinds of guys that have such a unique story that I feel end up in Detroit more often than not. Pretty impactful stuff.
For you that, hey, I can do this. I can get out of Canada, play major college football, and then down the road, NFL.
It never really clicked for me until I got my first offer. Like I got my first offer in 11th grade. So before that, I never really believed in myself, but I've always just went out and worked and then hoped for the best, because you can't really, you're never going to know how do I say this? I didn't believe in myself, but you're never going to understand what you can do unless you just go out there and do it. Like if you don't work, you're always going to have that voice in the back of your head. Man, what if I did this? I should have done that. Eliminate all the what ifs, eliminate all the should haves, and just do it. And then hope for the best. And that's what I did. And I finally got my first offer. And they just started piling up after that.
And as you get closer to your senior year, more games in America, and ultimately moving to Clearwater. So talking about just that transition as you got older to going across the border, playing more games, and then ultimately moving to America.
That was probably one of the hardest parts of my journey, when I went to St. Catherine, which is basically 30 minutes from Niagara Falls. I knew nothing about the school. My mom knew nothing about the school. Coach Vic knew nothing about the school. We just knew that they took their athletes from Niagara Falls every Friday, drove 10 hours to Ohio, and played football, and that's all that mattered. But it was definitely a very hard experience. It wasn't no fancy facilities. It was pretty ran down, but we had to thug it out. There was times where one of my best friends, Wesley and Nate, we'd just be on the bus. Like, I'd have tears on my face. Like, why am I in this situation right now? When I had friends who were in the States, and it looked like they were living their dreams. And then I'm just here on this bus driving back 10 hours back to a pretty bad situation. Like, man, why does it have to be so hard for me? And why can't we just be like them? But then we just kept grinding it out. And I finally made a name for myself. And one of my friends went to Clearwater Academy, and he spoke to his coach about me, which then led to me going to Clearwater. And then Clearwater was nice. It was cool. I'm happy I went there. I'm happy I got to play Florida football before coming to Miami. The funny thing is, when I was down there, it was so hot one day. I told myself I will never come to a Florida school. I would never commit to a school in Florida. It's too hot. And then now I'm South Miami. So
just insane level of commitment. You can just get that vision, right? I mean, you're traveling back and forth, and all he wants to do is play football. And all he is doing, he's questioning his choices. He's questioning the path. And why is it that he has to deal with such a shitty situation? But this is where, the great football players are churned out. He went through all the struggle to now be entering an NFL draft where he's about to get $1 million+ paycheck almost instantly. And to me, that it speaks volumes it speaks volumes to why you don't give up, right? Why you don't quit chasing your dreams. Because when you finally do reach it, my God, it tastes so much better. And for Akheem Mesidor, he's going to be able to turn around and take care of his family the way that his family took care of him, and do something. I don't know. I think his mom's still around. I think this guy said that he just spoke with his mom, but he's going to be able to do things for his mom that she was never able to do for herself, and that's just that's where it all. That's where it all it makes so much sense, for these guys and why they're in this position and why he didn't give up. We'll keep going here with the interview. There's still a little bit more to go.
At Clearwater, it's an international school, right? Or there's a lot of international students there?
Yeah, there was Canadians, there was Italians, I don't know, other Europeans, I don't know.
Yeah, well, Canada's a pretty diverse country in general, but like going to that environment and seeing all the people from different countries, what was that like?
In
Clearwater, yeah.
It was cool. In St. Catherine, the school I went to before, was the same thing. We had Canadians, of course, it was in Canada. We had an Italian running back. We had a receiver from Czech Republic. We had just a bunch of different guys from around Europe. So it wasn't really a difference, but it was cool.
And then first impressions of Florida, you mentioned the heat. That's intense.
It was so hot. And then I'm seeing lizards everywhere and stuff. I'm like, bro, what?
Kind of prepares you for the giant iguanas you see now that you're in Miami.
Man, yeah.
People don't realize that they're not from here. That's there's dinosaurs walking around campus.
Yeah, I'm walking my dog and I see a huge iguana we're just walking up a tree. I'm like, what?
So you're at Clearwater doing your thing. You get recruited. How does West Virginia come on the scene?
So I went to a camp in Georgia, at Mercer, and Coach Adai, who was actually recruiting me to come here, he was there, and their whole staff was there, and they see me compete, and they were interested in me, so the whole staff just pulled me to the side. I was originally committed to Syracuse, but I was still going to camps and stuff. The whole staff pulled me to the side, and they started talking to me, and I started building a relationship with Coach Adai and Coach Leslie, who was their DC, and they just kept talking to me every day, communicating, building a relationship. And I went on an official visit to West Virginia, and it was cool. It felt good. It felt like home, and I was really comfortable with Coach Adai and Coach Leslie. So I committed, and then I just felt like I needed a different situation. So I hit the portal. Coach Adai was here, and he recruited me to come here, and I knew Coach Adai already well. So there wasn't really a relationship that needed to be built. I got to know Coach Wright, who was the DN coach here. I got to know Coach Joe, Coach Cristobal, and JT. And I came out, I watched the practice, and then I seen the high energy during practice, all the coaches jumping around, yelling, hitting, everything going. It was just wild. And I wanted to come here.
Before we go to Miami, just one thing on West Virginia. For those who didn't see you in high school, you were out there playing linebacker, you played some safety. I mean, very athletic player. I remember watching your film at West Virginia, and a lot of times you were right there lined up in front of the center, taking on multiple blockers. What was that like for you, just from a football standpoint, being a very athletic player and then taking one for the team and going and playing like a nose guard and doing really well?
So coming to college, the last thing I wanted was an ego. I just swallowed my ego, and I just want to do whatever it took for me to play. All I wanted to do was play, get on the field and play. So my freshman year, I played defensive end. And then there was some package, there was a package where I was lined up at Mike, and then we had a stunt in the middle, and then I'd just shoot it and hit the gap. And I got a TFL or a sack off that. So Coach Leslie used me a bunch of different ways to make plays. And then my second year,
you notice how he mentioned TFL, right? They think about that stuff because TFLs are so important. I just had to throw that in there.
He asked me, are you willing to play? No, he didn't ask me if I'm willing to play nose. I told him, I'm willing to play nose. I don't care if I'm 265. I'll play nose. I want to play football. That's it. So I just went in and played nose. It was difficult because some big boys down there, and I'm only 265. But I grinded it out. And, it was really whatever it takes to play.
But then now you go back to the recruiting process. You mentioned the connections you had, Coach Adai, getting to know Coach Wright, who was a defensive end coach at the time, seeing the high energy at practice. What were some of your other impressions of Miami just on your visit? Because like, I remember when you came out the portal, you were a hot commodity, probably a bigger recruit than you were coming out of high school because you'd already shown what you can do. So your visit to Miami and just that whole process.
So driving around Miami, of course, Miami is beautiful and stuff, but I really didn't want to think about that. I really just focused on everything that was in this building, from the nutrition, the staff, the weight room staff. When Coach Feld was here, Coach Vic, Coach Irv was an assistant coach at the time, Coach Irv, Coach Ian. I loved everything. I just loved everything that went on in this building, from the weight room, from practice, from seeing Coach Wright and Coach JT work together in the meeting room, and just Coach Cristobal's vision on what he wants his team to be like. I just loved all of it, and I could see myself playing a big part of it in it.
You had an incredible season your first year. You're one of the best players on the team. Team itself doesn't do as well. Transition year. Now year 2 at Miami, you're coming back with some hype. You had a great year. Team's getting better, and then you have to deal with some injuries. Mm-hmm. What was that like going through that adversity of the injuries?
It was very difficult. Again, another hard, very, very hard part in my journey. It's just when you don't get to play the sport that you love and a sport that you've been really playing your whole life, it hurts and it takes a toll on you mentally. There's times where I would drive to the facility with tears on my face, like, damn, I got to come in here and just do rehab. I can't play. I can't do anything. Like, why me? Why is this happening to me? There's been so many times where I felt like that, but I just kept coming in, kept working, and kept praying for the best.
You bounced back. Really, another really good year last year. Team it's just roller coaster type season, right? You're on ESPN all the time, scoring all these points. Defense starts off on fire and goes through some difficulty. What was your mindset last season on the field coming back?
Just play the best football you can. Obviously, don't be too hard on yourself because it's your first season back after not playing a whole year. Really, it was difficult because I was hard on myself. I can tell myself not to be and tell myself a whole bunch of things, but I'm a competitor, and if I don't play to what I know I'm capable of, it's always going to be disappointing. But I just wanted to keep going on the field and keep giving it my all.
I know one thing that Cristobal said during that time period was that they got to hold you back in practice sometimes because you go so hard that they worry about wearing you out, and obviously coming off an injury, they were concerned not because you're not durable, it's just because you go so hard. They got to kind of like keep you back. What's that mentality like in practice and everything you do, just going 100%?
I don't like to lose, and I love to compete. So it's hard for me to control my pace when I just want to win. And the last thing, and obviously I want myself to be the best and I want to feel good about myself, but also I never want to let another person be able to put it out there that I don't work hard or that I'm not good enough. Never again. Because I'm not soft. I'll never let somebody tell me I'm soft. I'll never let somebody tell me I don't work hard enough. And I'll never let somebody tell me I'm not a competitor. So having that mindset, it's just hard not to go hard. It's hard not to play it like as fast as you can. And then it hurts sometimes because I'm doing too much and I'll get like a nick or something here and there. But also I can't control it sometimes.
One thing your mom mentioned just since you were a kid is that you've always been a teacher. You like to teach people the right way to do things and the way to go about their business. Now, you being a veteran on this team, a lot of young, talented defensive linemen. Is that a role that you embrace?
Yeah. Because for me, I like to know, like when it comes to a new defense like we just got, I like to know it inside and out, especially the inside the core for the D-line. And then I'm an open book. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I am a student of the game. I want to learn, and I ask JT hella questions. I just want to know everything. And then when it comes to the younger guys, if they have any questions, I want to be able to answer those. Like, I don't like seeing somebody being confused. I know how it feels to be confused, and I don't like that feeling. So why would I want somebody else to be confused? So, like, I like to teach. I like to help guys. And if anybody has a question, I want to be able to answer that.
So the decision to come back this past year, you could have gone pro. You were going to have a chance to play professional football. Ultimately decided to come back to University of Miami. What went into that decision?
It was really it was the risk reward of coming back was a lot better than leaving. If I would have left, my draft grade wasn't great. I would have been 6-7 undrafted. I come back, I do really good, like I'm expecting to, I boost my draft stock. If I don't do well, I have the same draft stock. So the risk reward it was just smarter to come back.
Man, this dude put it all on the line. He clearly wasn't happy with being a 6th, 7th round draft pick, potentially undrafted, and now look where he's at. He's potentially a first-round draft pick by just going and balling out. And the question that I think a lot of people have to answer is, who was responsible for that defense? And I guess where I'm going with this, let me look something up real quick. There's someone on Miami's coaching staff. I don't know if you guys know who it is, but I'll talk about it in just a minute. But if you ask yourself, who was more responsible for Miami's defense? Was it Ruben Bain or was it Akheem Mesidor? And I know what a lot of people are going to say. They're going to say it was Ruben Bain. Of course it was. And that's going to be the same question that I think you have to answer or think about, in Detroit. When I know a lot of fans are saying, well, Aiden needs this extra help, or, Aiden needs, another guy over there. Okay. If that player's having a lot of success, who's the one that's responsible? Is it that player or is it Aiden? And that's the question that I've been trying to get people to really think about, because in this case, you have Ruben and you have Akheem Mesidor on both sides of this defense, and they're both having amazing seasons. And Akheem comes back this year and has his best season, arguably his best season, and he improves his draft stock by 6 levels. And I'm going to ask again the same question in Detroit. Al-Qadim Muhammad had a crazy good year this year. Was that because of Aiden Hutchinson, or is it because of Al-Qadim Muhammad? Was it because of the defense and the way that Calvin Shepard utilized these guys? Or was it because of Aiden Hutchinson? So when you ask for another guy on the opposite of on Aiden, then you shouldn't be expecting that Aiden's going to have a better year. No, the other guy should have a better year. If Aiden is that good and they're going to continue to double and chip Aiden just as much as they are the other guy, which, I mean, you're talking a difference of 1.47%, then how can you ever make the argument that the other side is responsible for Aiden's production and vice versa? I think it all comes down to individual drive and determination and what you put on the football field. I don't think that anyone is directly responsible for you on the opposite end of the field. The person that is going to help you the most, or the player that's going to help you the most, is the linebacker behind you, the defensive tackle to your inside or outside, depending on how they're, lined up, and the corner or the nickel safety or the nickelback or the box safety. Those are going to be the players that are going to help you the most on the edge. It's not the other edge. It's directly in front of you, to the left, and to the right of you, and behind you. Those are the players that are going to help you. I don't understand. I'll never understand it. How everyone's, a lot of people seem to think that you need this other guy to make Aiden better. If that's the case, then you need to start asking the questions about Aiden, which is really hard to do after coming off of a second team, all pro selection and 14 and a half sacks. I'm not going to go down that road today, but I think you guys know where I come from. There's more to stats than just the number. You have to look at the entire picture. And what the entire picture tells me, and then I'll leave it alone for the day, is if you're constantly going up against third string tackles and constantly getting lined up against the weaker tackle, and you're getting your production when that happens, that's that's not fair to the other guy. But if the other guy is producing, that tells you something. And I think you need to take a hard look at who Akheem Muhammad went up against this last season and how he had his production. Because he was going up against the better player more often than not than Aiden was. And it's kind of been that year, that way ever since Aiden's been in Detroit. He primarily lines up over the right tackle. It's probably 60-40 if you really look at all of it. He probably lines up on the left side of the defense 60% of the time and the right side of the defense 40% of the time. But he's always flip-flopping to take on the weaker tackle, which is exactly what you should do as a defensive coordinator. Of course you want to be able to do that. But if the other guy's having great season like Akheem Muhammad did, and he's taking on the better competition, I have more questions than I would answers. Without a doubt, a player like Akheem Mesidor could help this team. Without a doubt. The question is that the only answer? No. Do I want to see this guy make it to Detroit? Absolutely. We'll see if it happens. I don't think it's going to, but we'll see if it happens.
And also get an extra year education. What are you studying here in UM?
I got a MALS, so Master's of Arts and Liberal Studies. It's cool. I guess I have a master's.
Absolutely, man. Running the family now. Now you're carrying on the tradition, that your mom started from an educational standpoint. People, they see all the good stuff. They see you getting sacks on Saturdays. They see all the bells and whistles that come with being a student athlete, but they don't see the hard stuff. Times where you're rehabbing injuries or playing through injuries. When you're really at
A little bit or a lot of things they don't want to do, but everybody has things, and then that's why I'm here today. He just told me, and I had to tell guys this today. Everybody has stuff they don't want to do. Everybody has things. It may be a little bit or a lot of things they don't want to do, but everybody has certain things that they don't want to do, but they have to because they need to feed themselves and their families. You have to do what you have to do. JT always says, boys do what they want, men do what they have to. So you wake up in the morning, you don't want to come to the facility. You wake up in the morning, you don't want to do rehab. You don't want to work out. You don't want to do anything. You just got to remember that it's not about what you want to do. It's about what you have to do.
20 years from now, long NFL career is over. Where do you see Akheem Mesidor?
I see myself helping people. I don't know in what field. I don't know if it's football. I don't know if it's in the community, if it's in, high school, whatever it is. I just see myself being a public servant.
Yeah. Like giving back, man. Again, runs in the family. Your mom talked about the special ed and helping those guys, and now you're trying to give back. You thinking like political? You thinking charity? What's that? Or coaching? What are you thinking?
Anything. That's why I don't know. I just know I'm going to be helping people, somebody. I'll be helping somebody.
We're talking about football a lot. When you're not playing football, because I know you guys do get some downtime. A lot of people just sleep because there's so much work between school and workouts and everything else. But what do you like to do in your downtime?
I like to play video games. It's kind of too much. I like to play video games a little too much. But sometimes I'll step away from video games. I've been fishing recently. Fishing is cool. It's fun.
Where you go?
I just go in the canals. I catch a bunch of peacocks. I was catching peacocks over and over again, and I want to catch something new because I'm always watching these fishing videos. People are catching yellowtails. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah.
They're catching snook and different stuff. So I'm like, I don't want to catch no more peacocks. Too common. So I see some carp, and it was like this big, huge. And then I didn't know what they ate. So every time I went to the bait shop like 3 times in a row. And then like 2 of those times, I didn't even buy anything. I was just asking anybody in there for like any type of information they can give me on how to fish for carp, how to fish for anything. I just wanted information. I just wanted just help. And then they're like, okay, carp like corn. They like bread.
Yep.
Maybe some berries. And then there was a tree right above where the school is, and they would bite all the berries coming down. So I was throwing in bread, they weren't getting it. I was throwing in corn, they didn't want it. I went to Publix, I got some wine grapes. I threw a grape in there, hit it. I caught a carp. It wasn't huge, it was about this big, but I got it. It was cool. And then I went another day with Artavius Jones, and then I threw a grape in there, and then it was a big boy. But I didn't have a net, and I couldn't flip it onto the land. Broke my line, and he just got away.
You taught me today. I never caught a carp. I always see them. I'm wondering how to catch them. I heard they don't fight as good as their size. You just kind of pull them up, but they're huge.
If it depends how big they are. Like the medium one, like the smaller one I got, the fight was okay. The bigger one I got, he was fighting.
All right, Akheem, we got a lot of fan questions. It's like twice what we usually get. So you're a popular dude here. Favorite uniform combo?
My favorite uniform combo is, we have the white helmet, regular helmet, green top, white bottom, and then white accessories. That's my favorite combo.
There you go. What's something about Coach Cristobal that we wouldn't know?
That you wouldn't know?
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know. I feel like he's interviewed so much that like everybody kind of has a glimpse on his personality.
So what you see is what you get, basically.
You see is what you get. Maybe I need to hang out with Coach Cristobal a bit more. I don't know.
What's one thing you're working on to improve in your game for the 2025 season?
My twitchiness, and I want to improve my power moves. I really haven't used that many power moves in my career. And I'm a powerful guy. I'm also a bigger D lineman, a bigger defensive end. So I really want to get some power moves in there along with some finesse.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie? I'll probably give it to The Wolf of Wall Street.
There you go. There you go. What song gets you hyped when you're warming up on the field?
Sicko by Drake.
Okay. Keeping it Canadian.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about being a Miami Hurricane?
My favorite part? We got some diehard fans. Everybody, you got the guy with the Hulk mask. You got everybody, bro. I just love the fans. Yeah.
It's an international fan base, too. I know when I do my show, we got fans from Canada. We got fans from Africa, Europe. It's crazy just how international the University of Miami fan base is.
So one of my friends, his dad owns like basically a chauffeur company. So, and my friend works for his dad, obviously. So he drives around, different people. And the amount of people who like talk to him about the Miami Hurricanes is wild.
Does he drop the names?
Yeah. My friend Akheem, he plays for the Hurricanes. Yeah.
Love it. We've talked about a few of these. And the question is about a hurdle you've had to overcome in your football career. Just going back to the story you told earlier about wanting to quit. What was it that made you want to quit at that time?
I seen a bunch of guys around me getting a whole bunch of offers and stuff. And like, obviously I love those guys, but in my head, I'm a competitor, and I'm like, I can play too. Like, I can do everything he can do or better. Why am I not getting looks? What's going on? So I'm just like, you know what? Maybe it's just not for me. And then Coach Whey came and talked to me, and he just flipped it. And I kept working, and finally things started going my way.
There you go. What's your favorite in-game moment while playing football? So it's like, what's something you remember from just in a game?
My favorite in-game moment. I'd say my first year here, Clemson. So it was 2022 at Clemson. It was the beginning of the fourth quarter. And right before the fourth quarter, they start playing their hype videos and stuff. And I like it when other people play their hype videos because the fact of them feeling like they're getting hyped up and the fans getting hyped up, to see us lose, it hypes me up. So then first play of the fourth quarter, strip sack. And then Jay Millie picked it up and ran for like 20 yards.
I remember that. What position would you want to play? I mean, you play a lot of positions right now on the front seven, or you have. But you could play another position. Would you be like Jordan Miller running with the ball there? Like, what would you want to play?
I don't want to play safety. Safety's cool. Little guy. I like to lose about 60 pounds and play some safety.
There you go. What would you say is your biggest accomplishment so far in your life? I know you got a lot to go, but what's something that you're proud of that you've accomplished already?
I think I can't really pinpoint an exact thing, but I'm just being able to help younger guys. Like me and Herbert, we go swimming all the time for extra conditioning and stuff. And I know small stuff like that is going to affect him, like maybe for his lifetime. But as long as it affects him for the next few years in college and everything I do with him, he's able to pass down to a younger guy. That's the best thing for me. Because like when I was in college, when my first year in college, I was kind of lost. I was trying to find somebody I can call a big brother. There was obviously older guys I was able to look up to, but there was nobody I could really like cling on to and just follow, do everything he does. And as long as I'm able to just change one person's life or help one person and he can pass that down, I'm happy.
Last one. I know you'll play for any team that drafts you. But what's your dream NFL team?
Oh shit!
You know what? It's crazy. My favorite teams are all rivals. Bengals. Well, we're not gonna say Bengals. Pittsburgh is my favorite team, but I also love the Bengals and I like the Ravens a lot. They're all rivals, but I like them all.
So you're trying to get back to the cold then. You're getting your jackets back.
Yeah, it's cool. I'd like to play for Tampa. Tampa's cool. Or Miami. I really don't have, like, East Coast. We'll just say East Coast or, like, anywhere in Texas.
There we go. Remember to like and subscribe to Storm Sessions on YouTube, Apple Pod.
Well, he doesn't want to play in Detroit. That sucks. He said East Coast. We're not quite East Coast. We're definitely not Texas. We're definitely not the Ravens or the Bengals or Pittsburgh. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? This guy he's been through a lot. And he's just as humble as they can be. I don't think that there's one bit of ego in this guy's body. I don't see it. I think he's going to be an amazing personality and person at the next level, and whatever he does with the rest of his life, his upbringing is going to shape his future. You know, he worked his ass off to get to where he is today. He took a wild risk at getting drafted or going back to school and having a chance to get drafted higher, which just that first paycheck alone is, in a first round, should set him up for life. Just that one contract should set him up for life if it's done right. Even though he didn't mention the Lions, it's kind of a wild question that you probably shouldn't answer. And quite honestly, the way that he answered all of these questions, all I see and all I hear is someone that is intelligent, is well-spoken. He's not afraid to tell the truth, right? He clearly loves to have fun. He's a humble guy, and there's nothing in life that he doesn't want to do. You know, you can tell that life's experiences, I mean, they make him happy, right? Just being able to go fishing and learn about fishing, that tells you a lot about someone that just goes to the bait shop to just suck energy, and information out of people to learn how to catch, a fish. And the fact that he used his intelligence to look in the water and up in the clouds to see there's a berry tree right here and these fish are eating it. Well, let's go get some berries. And that's just smart. It's just smart. So if he can navigate those types of problems and problem solving, I don't think there's going to be any issue with this guy problem solving on the field. And if you watch any of Miami's games from last year, this guy's a problem solver, and he figures out a way to get to the quarterback. And he figures out a way to make plays out in space. And I think that's probably where he does his best work, honestly, is when he's out in space and he has to make a play one-on-one. He runs great angles. I feel like he's always in a good spot to make a play. It doesn't mean that he has never lost a rep. It doesn't mean that he's ever, not made a mistake. He's made plenty, but he's still young. He's still young. Phenomenal person. I think above and beyond anything else. We do a few of these every year. We'll sit down and go through some interviews that other people have done. This is going to be a hard one to top. The Drew Petzing interviews were really good, but from player perspective, prospect perspective, this was a really good interview, and you got to learn a lot about Akheem Mesidor. There's a reason why he was one of the first things that I wrote about, this year, and it probably won't be the last. Anyway, I'm glad that y'all got a chance to hang out. I know we didn't have a huge crowd today, and that's okay. It's the off season, so I need to dip into more videos because that's where all the action's going to come. Be back at it tomorrow. Unfortunately, though, I may or may not be on in the morning. I won't know until later on today. I have a conference call with Daniel Jeremiah. I think it's at 1:00. And so I have other things that I really need to try to get done. So if I can't get it done today, then I got to get it done first thing in the morning so that I can have some afternoon time to be able to do that tomorrow. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll get back at it. Keep cranking out the work, and just look at the posts. If I'll be on tomorrow, I'll put it up. All right, take care. Probably go to Detroit Lions. We'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.